Mary White Overington reads over a letter she has written to Alice Paul, the driven single-minded leader of the NWP, National Women's Party, a suffrage movement which has amassed considerable power. Alice Paul is also the organizer of 5,000 Women March to take place 2 months from now on March 3rd, 1913 in Washington, D.C.
January 4th, 1913, to Miss Alice Paul. My dear Miss Paul, I wrote to the members of your National Woman's Party, whom I knew, to ask them if they would consider... No, if they were interested in inviting a woman of color to appear on the program of the Women's Party Conference in Washington, D.C., and to participate in the Women's Parade on March 3rd. And Mrs. Brannan informed me enthusiastically.
Enthusiastically? Really, Brannan? That the New York State branch of the Women's Party had unanimously decided in favor of a colored speaker on the program. Oh, that idiot Brannan. Who gave her the right to speak for me? Stupid cow.
Alice?
But then Mrs. Brannan telephoned me that you may not find that acceptable, and she asked me to address my communication directly to you.
And now, like everything else, it's on my shoulders. Oh, I could choke Brannan. I may choke her. I shall certainly fire her.
Alice, perhaps Mary Overton is right. We should invite some colored women of national interest to speak at the convention and to march with us at the parade.
You know we cannot do that. And you know why.
Well, at least we might meet with Mary Overton and yes, with her friend, Ida B. Wells, and just consider what it is.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Meet with Ida B. Wells, that muckraker, that headline chaser, and risk everything we've worked for, starved and suffered for in freezing jail cells? When we are so close to achieving the 19th Amendment and the vote for women?
Well, I think we should at least arrange a meeting with Mary Overton.
No, we have no time. She is simply meddling because she thinks she must, like the officious social worker she is. Soft-hearted, blue blood, butter-fed dilettante. What does she know of battle? When did she suffer the brutality of prison guards or be locked up in jail and force-fed, as we were? When did she ever have to fight for a cause, as you and I must do?
Alice, nobody doubts your...
And we would do it again, wouldn't we, Lucy? We may have to do it again. There is so much hatred and opposition, so many powerful men aligned against us, but we would suffer it all again, would we not?
Do you think the colored women have not suffered greatly, Alice, for their rights? Do they not deserve to join the march, to join our cause? Do they not deserve our support? Do they not deserve the right to vote?
And they will get it. If, and only if we succeed. At no cost to them, I may add.
Their lot is twice as difficult as ours. No matter what horrors we choose to suffer, the difference is we choose to suffer them.
Oh, don't you start.
The difficulty, Mrs. Paul, as I understand it, is that the acclaimed Mrs. Talbert... No. The distinguished Mrs. Talbert, president of the National Association of Colored Women, was not invited to speak at your convention because she does not represent a feminist organization?
Alice, really? Is that the best you could do? Mrs. Talbert may not speak at our convention because she is not a member of a feminist organization. What is the NACW if not a feminist organization?
We have received no support from the National Association of Colored Women. None.
Well, perhaps because we've offered none, and Mary Overton is absolutely right to suggest...
Enough. Mary Overton is a social nursemaid, a placater, a politician. not a warrior. She does not understand what we have done, and we must do what we must sacrifice to win.
She worked for years in settlement houses in New York City, teaching children and providing daycare for working mothers in neighborhoods where you would never set foot, Alice, providing shelter and schooling for older children and job training for adults.
She dropped out of Radcliffe, when she had but a year left.
To take care of her mother.
Well, there it is. She's a caretaker, a do-gooder with a soft heart for her mother, for the poor, the afflicted, and the downtrodden. Good for her. Stars on her crown. Oh, Lucy, after we have secured our right to vote, there will be a place and a time for her kind in our movement. Yes, even for Ida B. Wells and her colored women. But first, we must win this war.
Ida.
My dear.
And it gets better. May I point out, moreover, that Mrs. Talbert, through the NACW, represents thousands of women, potential suffragists, and you must agree that no white woman, not even you, can represent the colored women of this country. Oh, the arrogance, lecturing me on how to run a movement.
Mrs. Talbert is a fine speaker, Alice, and I think we should just consider.
Absolutely not.
She objects to inviting Mary Talbert to the convention? Mary Talbert.
Alice Paul fears the white Southern delegates will vanish if they find they must allow a Negro woman to speak, or to vote, or to march beside us in a parade.
One small Negro woman. My, what power do we have?
Alice, I've heard a rumor. Mary Overton's friend, Ida B. Wells, plans to stage a protest on the 3rd of March in front of the parade if we do not admit a contingent of colored women.
Ida Barnett Wells, that
Race agitator. In the Times today, Alex Paul calls me a race agitator.
Is that a bad thing? Oh,
Here's some water.
thanks.
Oh, and she goes on and on. Owing to our caste system, these women are little known by white women and carry on their organization largely distinct from the organizations of white women, not by their choice, but by yours. Who exactly does she think she is?
Alice, I implore you, at least answer her letter.
I will not.
Mary, will your friend be able to help us the day of the women's parade?
She will. But not a whisper of this arrangement may slip out in the next 3 weeks, so the Southern delegates will simply boycott the convention and the parade and the 19th Amendment. How many young women do you have in your new sorority?
24 girls at last count in Delta Sigma Theta, and 26 counting the advisors, myself and Mary Church Terrell.
26.
And all the Deltas will wear their white and gold and red uniforms.
Oh,
Our colors.
splendid. How I wish.
Mary?
I'm fine. Thank you, dear. But the pills do help.
Well, how shall I know your friend? And when and where shall I meet her?
She will be wearing a green scarf, and you are to wear a green scarf as well. She will meet you on the corner of North D Street and Pennsylvania Avenue at precisely 11:30 that morning, half an hour before the parade begins. And though she will require you and your girls to remain segregated at the rear of the parade.
Segregated at the rear of the parade.
Once the parade begins, there is absolutely nothing Alice, Paul, or anyone can do to prevent you from
moving up and marching our Delta Sigma Thetas wherever we choose.
Exactly.
And we shall march alongside our friends in the Illinois contingent.
You are fearless, Ida.
Oh, one had better die fighting against injustice than die like a rat or a dog in a cage.
Do you have a chaperone for your deltas?
We do. A young professor from Howard University.
It could get violent. In other marches, when I was much younger, men threw garbage at us, tried to rip our skirts, shouted all manner of disgusting things at us. Do you understand what your young women may encounter?
Yes, we do. And we are prepared.
Be careful. Careful. There are so few of us and so many of them. And there is only one of you, Ida.
And now she throws her entire chamber pot at me, Lucy, about our statue. Our beautiful, expensive statue.
Alice, please, just listen.
No, you listen to this. Indeed, I think when your statue of Lucretia Mott, Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton is unveiled at the Capitol, and people realize that no colored women has been given any part in your great movement, the omission will be keenly felt by thousands of people throughout the country. How dare she? This Mary Overton, this feeble old woman who never organized or led a protest in her life, save to complain perhaps to a waiter that her soup was cold, is trying to...
Alice, she's right. If we deny colored women the right to join us, indeed, if we do not invite and urge and welcome all colored women to join us in this women's parade, the damage to this women's movement will be felt far into the future.
And if we do allow colored women to march with us on the 3rd, the whole Southern delegation, whom we have worked so hard to engage, these white Southern women and their white Southern husbands and their white Southern congressmen, they will simply abandon us. And we shall never get the 19th Amendment passed, nor the Southern states to ratify it. And we are back where we started. And I will not let that happen.
Oh, I wish I could be there. To see you and your splendid young Delta Sigma Thetas marching in their red and gold and white.
As do I, Mary.
But we shall live to see the day when all women may march together and work together for women's rights and for a better world.
We shall.
Oh, well, enough, Lucy. I have no more time for Mary Overton or her interminable whining. We have a parade to plan.
Alice.
My one task in this life is to shepherd the 19th Amendment through Congress and then see that it is ratified by the 36 states. One false step and we are lost.
Well, my dear, it is late and I must go.
You're meeting with your team tomorrow to finalize the plans for security?
We are. Adelaide, Beth, and Hermione and I, we shall march behind the last group in the parade to keep the onlookers from trailing in behind us. And we've requested the Montgomery College football squad and the District of Columbia Eagle Scouts to march behind us and keep the mob at bay. Oh, and the Capitol Police will be there, of course.
The police may be of no use, or worse than no use. They are not our friends in this effort. Remember Atlanta? Be prepared for chaos.
Yes, we are prepared. Now, I really must go. Get some sleep, Alice, and eat.
Light shift. Women's Parade, March 3rd, 1913. Lucy meets Ida on the day of the parade.
Ida? Ida B. Wells.
Yes, Lucy? Burns?
Yes, yes. Ida, your deltas, are they waiting for us in the library?
Yes, sheltering from the cold, and thank you for that, Lucy.
Yes, we have about half an hour before the parade begins, and I am so grateful that you're here, but please understand, you must keep your girls segregated in the rear of the parade away from the white Southern delegates.
Well, we should start out at the rear of the parade, Lucy, and then we should move up and march alongside our friends in the Illinois contingent, or wherever we choose. And once we are on the move, who shall dare stop us?
No one at all.
Mary, she sends her love.
She's quite ill, I fear.
Yes.
I have such admiration for her and for you. I hope someday we shall all march together to secure justice and equal rights for all women.
Distant as that may seem, it's my dearest wish.